It did start as a joke when the ideological norm of Kufa Makanga, Kufa Dereva began, but as of the time of this broadcast, it is evidently clear that the narrative seems to be working because the ODM party is steering a plan to impeach President William Samoei Ruto, for they strongly believe that if the Makanga left, then the Dereva should follow suit.
Be done is when the members of parliament report to parliament next week. The Gen Z needs to force those members to impeach the president. And any member of parliament who will not vote for impeachment of the president, they occupy their homes. That's the only way. This war must now turn to the members of parliament, and they force them. If I bring a vote of no confidence against the President William Ruto, I expect 349 members of parliament to support me. If they don't support me, then their homes are occupied. They need to force members of parliament to impeach the president. That's what we need to do. We don't need to put Gen Zs on the streets to be killed. When we have a national assembly to do what Gen Z are supposed to do, the Gen Zs have given us a platform. Now what is remaining is the members of parliament to do the rest. Let us not put our children on the streets to be killed.
I've said it time and time again. In fact, I've said it times above numbers that President William Samoei Ruto made a very grave mistake by he orchestrating an impeachment motion against his own deputy. He went further to trust ODM with some very lucrative positions in his own government, only for they to now begin turning against him. And that clearly proves to me that in politics, trust is like a candle, simply because it will only light your way when you are in need, but it may eventually burn out, leaving you in the dark. I honestly take Caleb Amisi's statements with a lot of seriousness, simply because when Caleb Amisi speaks, when Edwin Sifuna speaks, that is tantamount to the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga speaking. When the same way when Oscar Sudi and Farouk Kibet speak, that is tantamount to President William Samoei Ruto speaking. And of course, Caleb Amisi's sentiments are not very coincidental, simply because this clearly shows you that there must have some boardroom meetings to which they sat, discussed, then they choose someone to go test the waters outside. So these words are not very coincidental. Remember, look at the art of timing that these words are coming. They're coming at a time when President William Samoei Ruto has successfully impeached a deputy of his own. 2. These words are coming at a time when the ODM party is leading from the front in pleading to President William Samoei Ruto so that they can be added some very lucrative positions of his own government. And in this context, or to be specific, they are currently advocating for the CS Interior docket and the speaker position, currently hosted by Moses Masika Wetangula and majority leader in the National Assembly. So my word is, these words are not coincidental. Very many Kenyans may see it a mission dead on arrival, or may see it next to impossible to impeach President William Samoei Ruto. But from where I sit, I have a contrary opinion to that, because I know for a fact it is very much possible to impeach President William Samoei Ruto, because numbers don't lie. Look here, right in Parliament, UDA leads with a total of 145, while ODM is second with just 86 parliamentarians. Then what if all the other minority parties decide to vote in favor, to join hands with ODM, then cast their votes against President William Samoei Ruto. With that just at hand, I kid you not, it is very much possible for President William Samoei Ruto to be given a vote of no confidence against himself and his entire government. But the only hindrance that I'm currently having onto why this mission may also turn out to be next to impossible is because I know if the motion is brought before the floor of the House, there is a string of possibilities that how good President William Samoei Ruto is at dishing handouts, then that could be the only influence that may make this motion to be dead on arrival. But anything apart from that, I kid you not, the president could be voted out, because you and I are alive to the cognizant fact that very many Kenyans, including the members of parliament, are all tired with how President William Samoei Ruto is running this regime. However, if the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is going to push for President Ruto's impeachment to succeed, then I see a string of possibilities that all Kenyans are going to restore their trust back to him, simply because very many Kenyans have trust deficit, and a vast majority of them lost trust in him immediately when he decided to betray the Gen Z just for him to go and form the bread-based government with President William Samoei Ruto. So if at all he is going to push this impeachment motion or a vote of no confidence against President William Samoei Ruto, of which, if this is going to come before the floor of the House, one thing that I'm sure of, and as sure as the sun shall rise tomorrow, is that he is going to restore back the trust that he had earlier lost from Kenyans. Because immediately when Raila decided to form or to join the Kenya Kwanza government, very many Kenyans lost trust in him, and all the legacy that he had built over the years, he completely destroyed his entire reputation. So if this motion is going to be true, then one thing that I'm sure of is that Kenyans shall live to remember him as a man to whom had good interest for this country at heart. And before even I come to the penultimate part of this episode, just allow me say this. President William Samoei Ruto's fate shall rely on the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga's mercy before the 2027 general election. If at all there is an impeachment motion that is going to be brought before the floor of the House, just the same way President Ruto's fate relied on the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga right after the 25th June demonstrations whereby the Gen Z stormed Parliament, the same thing is going to happen in the near future. So President William Samoei Ruto should be very keen with the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, simply because he's been hinting on some red flags right from when he decided to join government. But if at all there's no any motion of impeachment is going to be brought on the floor of Parliament, then Caleb Amisi's words could end up be pure and mere politics. But from where I sit, that has just been my opinion. If by any chance you do have a contrary opinion to mine, you can as well feel free to drop them in the comment section and I'll give them a right of reply. Thank you and may God bless you.